It happened at exactly 3:33 in the morning. The kind of moment that makes you sit up straight, wondering if the universe just tapped you on the shoulder. Because at that exact time, a message came through. Not for everyone, not for the masses, but for you. And if you're watching this, it's not by accident. You were meant to hear this before the end of August. That's not superstition. That's alignment. Think about how rare this is. Out of billions of people in the world, you found this message. That's SEP's not random chance. That's SEP's resonance. And maybe you SEP felt it too. That subtle nudge, that quiet pull that whispers, pay attention. Something SEP's about to change. Here's the truth. You are not ordinary. You were never meant to live a life of blending in, clocking in and out, and forgetting the brilliance of why you came here. You are different. A rare being with a frequency that vibrates unlike anything around you. And because of that, life has always felt a little off, a little louder, a little louder, a little harder, or maybe a little more magical. But this message isn't about the past. It's about now, because something is opening. A doorway, a remembrance, a call that can no longer be ignored. And you didn't stumble across this video by mistake. You were pulled to it. Pause for a moment. Take a breath. Inhale fully, exhale completely. Place your hand over your heart if you can. Feel the rhythm of your chest, the pulse of life moving through you. That pulse, it's a reminder that you are alive in this moment for a reason. And this message is part of that reason. August was not a random month. For some, it brought abundance, ease, breakthroughs. For others, it shook everything loose. Challenges, breakdowns, things that felt like they were collapsing. But either way, it wasn't chaos. It was calibration. Everything that happened this past month was preparing you for September. And September is unlike anything you've lived before. This is not just about manifesting more money, attracting better relationships, or achieving a dream. Those are human-level goals. This is about something bigger. This is about remembering who you really are. The limitless being that chose this lifetime, this body, this exact moment in history for a reason. And here's what most people miss. Life is not happening to you. It's happening through you. Every experience, every challenge, every miracle, it's all been orchestrated for you to finally wake up to your own power. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. So let me say this clearly. You are the chosen one. Not in the ego-driven way people throw around the phrase, but in the most sacred sense. You are chosen because you chose yourself before you even came into this world. You chose to wake up now, in this season of human history, to be part of something bigger than anyone has words for. And that journey begins with one thing. One practice. One shift that changes everything. And that is the call to pause. The message is simple, yet it carries more weight than anything else you could hear right now. Pause. Stop. Rest. Breathe. I know what you're thinking. How can stopping possibly move me forward? How can slowing down bring me closer to the life I want? The truth is, pausing is not about doing less. It's about aligning more. Because the truth is, you can work harder, grind longer, push further, and still feel stuck if your energy is scattered. But when you pause, when you actually rest and recalibrate, you shift everything. September is not going to reward speed. It's going to reward stillness. It's going to reward presence. And the ones who take the time to breathe, to listen, to align, those are the ones who are going to see miracles unfold that defy logic. Think about August. Maybe you noticed how life kept pushing you. For some, it was blessings upon blessings, synchronicities, unexpected opportunities. For others, it was challenge after challenge, things falling apart, resistance everywhere. But here's the secret. Both were happening for the same reason. Both were preparing you. If you face struggle, it wasn't punishment. It was awareness. It was the universe showing you the places where you've been resisting your own divinity, where you've been trying to fix, to solve, to hustle your way into worthiness. The abundance of struggle wasn't because you're cursed. It was because you were focused on the wrong thing. And if August flowed with ease for you, that wasn't luck. That was alignment. That was you saying yes to the truth of who you are, and life responding with miracles. But no matter which side you experienced, September is calling for one thing. Pause. Let go of the endless fixing. Stop chasing after a future that doesn't exist yet. Breathe. Be here now. Because in this pause, doors open. In this stillness, clarity drops in. In this breath, miracles become visible. And here's what's important. Pausing doesn't mean you're quitting. It doesn't mean you're falling behind. It means you're finally syncing up with the rhythm of creation itself. Think of it like music. There's power in the notes, But the pause, the silence between, that's what gives the music its depth. Without the pause, it's just noise. So if you've been exhausted, drained, overwhelmed, this is your sign. You're not weak, you're not failing, you're being asked to pause so you can align with something far bigger than your current circumstances. September is about to bring opportunities, revelations, and connections that will change everything. But you won't see them if you're racing. You'll only notice them if you pause long enough to let them find you. This is the call to pause, to rest, to breathe, to be here now. Because where you're going requires a whole new frequency. Have you ever noticed how certain patterns keep repeating in your life? The same kind of problem, the same kind of disappointment, the same cycle that makes you wonder, why does this always happen to me? That's not coincidence. That's a loop. And the message here is clear. You can't carry those old loops into where you're going next. Here's the truth. Most people don't want to face your reality is a mirror. It reflects not what you say you want, but what you actually focus on. If your attention is on lack, you'll see more lack. If your attention is on problems, you'll attract more problems. And the more energy you pour into fixing everything, the more you stay trapped in the very paradigm you're trying to escape. Think back to August. For some, it felt like every challenge, every limitation was magnified. Bills piling up, relationships breaking down, opportunities slipping away. But those weren't punishments. They were mirrors. They were the universe showing you exactly where your focus had been. On the lack, on the struggle, on the fear that maybe you're not enough. And here's the twist. Even those who experienced ease and abundance weren't lucky. They simply broke the loop. They stopped feeding the cycle of lack and started choosing to focus on magic, on miracles, on what was working. And because they did, reality responded. It's like being stuck in a dream that keeps playing the same scene over and over again. The only way out isn't to fight the dream, it's to wake up. And that's what breaking the loop really is. Waking up, recognizing that the stories you tell yourself are creating the reality you live in. But here's where it gets even more powerful. When you stop feeding the loop of fear, doubt, and lack, you don't just step out of the cycle. You step into something entirely new. You step into a reality where miracles are normal, where synchronicities guide you, where opportunities that didn't even exist yesterday suddenly appear today. And that's what September is offering you. A reset, a chance to finally walk away from the old loops that have kept you repeating the same story. This month isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about choosing differently. It's about realizing that the only thing keeping you stuck was the belief that you were stuck. So ask yourself honestly, what stories have I been repeating? Have I been telling myself I'm always broke, always unlucky, always behind? Have I been clinging to memories of how I was wronged, how I failed, how I wasn't enough? Because those stories aren't truth, they're loops. And here's the transition. Once you stop feeding them, once you pause and see them for what they are, you free yourself. And in that freedom, something extraordinary happens. Because September isn't just about breaking loops. It's about stepping into the unknown, into doors that are opening, into opportunities you can't yet see, into a path that's been waiting for you all along. And that's Sep's where we are heading next. September is not just another month on the calendar, it's a threshold, a doorway. The moment where the old story dissolves and a new chapter begins. Everything you've lived up until now has been preparation for this shift. And whether you felt abundance or resistance in August, both were guiding you here to this exact turning point. Think about it. Doors are opening right now that you don't even know exist yet. New connections, new opportunities, new pathways are aligning for you, waiting to reveal themselves when you're ready to step forward. And readiness isn't about having everything figured out. It's about willingness. The willingness to trust, to say yes, to walk into the unknown even when your mind screams for certainty. That's what September is asking of you. To remember who you designed yourself to be before you even came into this life. Not the roles you've been playing, not the limitations you've been carrying, but the truth of your soul. The truth that you are limitless, powerful, and deeply supported. This month isn't about chasing goals or proving yourself. It's about alignment. It's about stepping into the version of you who no longer doubts, no longer hides, no longer delays what you know is meant for you. Because the moment you stop waiting, the moment you stop saying maybe later, the universe rushes to meet you with everything you've been asking for. But here's what makes this turning point so profound. September isn't going to hand you answers wrapped neatly in a box. It's going to hand you choices. Choices that pull you toward the life you've been dreaming of, or back into the loops you've been trying to escape. And every choice you make this month will echo louder than ever before. So the real question is, Will you choose alignment, or will you choose resistance? Will you trust the doors that are opening, or will you keep staring at the ones that have already closed? The beauty of this turning point is that you don't have to know the how. You don't need a 10-step plan. You don't need guarantees. All you need is the courage to choose you. To say yes to what resonates. Yes to what excites you. Yes to what feels aligned in this moment. Because that yes is the key that unlocks the door. And when you walk through it, everything changes. The pace of life accelerates. Miracles multiply. Opportunities arrive that feel almost unreal. And you'll realize it was never about working harder. It was about aligning deeper. This is September, a month of remembrance, a month of breakthroughs, a month where you step out of the known and into the limitless. But to experience it, you have to simplify. You have to trust. You have to let go of what doesn't feel true anymore. Because the more you cling to the old, the harder it becomes to see the new. And once you let go, that's when you'll understand the next truth, that simplicity, resonance, and alignment are not just spiritual ideas. They are the keys to living fully free. Life has a way of tricking us into thinking everything has to be complicated. We pile on strategies, routines, expectations, and endless checklists, believing that the harder we work, the more we'll receive. But the truth is the exact opposite. The more complicated you make it, the heavier it feels. And the heavier it feels, the further you drift from the essence of who you really are. Here's the message for September. Simplicity is power. Simplicity is alignment. When you stop overthinking, overdoing, and over-explaining, you finally create space for the divine to flow through you. And that flow, that's where miracles live. Think about it this way. What feels good is God. What excites your soul, what lights you up, what makes you feel alive, that is the voice of Source speaking through you. And anything that doesn't feel good, anything that feels like constant resistance, constant draining, constant proving, that's not you. That's not truth. That's just the noise of the human mind trying to force its way. We complicate our lives when we chase what doesn't resonate, when we convince ourselves to stay in jobs, relationships, or routines that dim our light because our mind says we should. But alignment isn't about should. Alignment is about resonance. It's about listening to the subtle pulse in your chest that whispers, "This feels right." And here's where the shift happens. The moment you choose resonance, everything becomes easier. Opportunities unfold naturally. Connections flow without effort. Life stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like play. That's not laziness, it's magnetism. That's how energy works. You attract more of what you embody. So the invitation this month is to simplify, to stop chasing 10 steps ahead, and instead ask yourself, what feels true right now? What feels good right now? When you choose from that place, you don't need to figure out the future. The future will reveal itself through the choices you make in the present. And the more you trust this, the more you'll see that simplicity doesn't mean small. Simplicity doesn't mean you settle. Simplicity means you strip away everything false so that only what is real can remain. And what is real is always abundant, always expansive, always aligned with who you truly are. When you stop complicating things, you start living in resonance. And resonance is magnetic. It calls in people, opportunities, and blessings that match your frequency. No effort, no proving, just alignment. So as you move deeper into September, ask yourself, am I living in resonance, or am I forcing? Am I simplifying, or am I complicating? Because every time you choose resonance, you choose freedom, you choose joy, you choose alignment with Source itself. And that alignment doesn't just transform your life, it transforms the lives of everyone you touch. Because the truth is, when you live in resonance, you become a mirror, a sacred mirror, and that's where the next chapter begins. Here's something most people don't realize. You were never meant to walk this path alone. Yes, your journey is unique, but it was designed to be mirrored, reflected, and amplified through others. And this is where the idea of sacred mirrors comes in. You see, life always brings people into your experience, who reflect something back to you. Sometimes it's light, people who inspire you, who awaken you, who remind you of your power. Other times it's shadow, people who trigger you, challenge you, or force you to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. But either way, every person is a mirror. Every encounter is showing you something about you. That's why September is about being seen. You cannot hide anymore. You cannot shrink into the background, hoping no one notices your brilliance. You were not designed for invisibility. You were designed to shine so brightly that others see themselves more clearly through you. And this is what it means to be chosen. Not chosen in some exclusive, elite way. but chosen because you are finally choosing yourself. You are finally choosing to live as your true self instead of playing roles or performing for acceptance. That choice is what makes you magnetic. That choice is what makes others feel safe to be themselves around you. Sacred mirrors are the people who meet you in that authenticity. They don't need you to prove anything. They don't need you to perform. They simply reflect back your truth, your light, your magic. And when you find those mirrors, life expands exponentially. But here's the catch. You can't find sacred mirrors if you're still wearing masks, if you're still people-pleasing, proving, or pretending. The only mirrors you'll attract are the ones that reflect those patterns back to you. That's why this season is calling you to strip away the masks, to show up raw and real, even when it feels uncomfortable, because only then will the right mirrors find you. And when they do, something incredible happens. You realize you were never as alone as you thought. You realize there are others walking this path, remembering their own power, their own divinity, and together you amplify one another. Together you accelerate the awakening. This is why community matters now more than ever. Whether it's through spiritual groups, friendships, or collective spaces like the Light and Love Club, you are being guided to surround yourself with mirrors who reflect your highest truth, because in their presence, you remember more of who you are. So let this be the reminder. Stop hiding, stop shrinking, stop performing. You have nothing to prove. Your authenticity is enough. And in your authenticity, you'll draw the sacred mirrors who are destined to walk with you. Because the truth is, this journey was never about isolation. It was about reflection. And when you finally see yourself through the eyes of those who reflect your light back to you, you'll understand. You were always chosen. Most people spend their entire lives chasing the human dream. The checklist goes something like this. Get the job, earn the money, find the relationship, buy the house, build the family, retire, and hope you're happy at the end. That's the script society hands you, and for many it feels like the only path available. But here's the truth. The human dream is too small for your soul. It was never designed to contain the fullness of who you are. That's why, even when people make it, they often feel empty. They climb the ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. Your soul's dreams are different. They aren't about fitting into boxes or chasing approval. They're about expansion, about living in ways that feel alive, limitless, and aligned with your true essence. The desires that come from your heart aren't random. They are portals. Each one is a doorway leading you closer to your highest self. This is where so many people get stuck. They confuse the human dream with the soul dream. They believe that if they just achieve more, accumulate more, prove more, they'll finally feel fulfilled. But chasing the human dream without listening to the soul always leads to disappointment, because the human dream is about survival. The soul dream is about creation. And September is here to make that distinction crystal clear. It's not that the human desires are bad. Wanting money, love, success, those are natural. But they're not the destination. They're indicators. They show you what your soul is craving to express. The desire for abundance, it's really your soul reminding you of your infinite nature. The desire for love, it's really your soul reminding you of the truth that you already are love. The desire for success, it's really your soul nudging you toward your purpose. The problem comes when you stop at the surface and think the human dream is the end goal. That's when you end up chasing shadows, always running, never arriving. But when you look deeper, when you see each desire as a portal, you step into the real adventure. You stop asking, how can I get this thing to prove I'm enough? And start asking, what is this desire pointing me toward in my soul? That's where freedom begins. That's where the real magic happens. Because when you follow the soul dream, you're not just checking boxes, you're creating worlds. You're expanding consciousness. You're living a life that feels aligned, alive, and limitless. So this month, notice your desires, not to judge them, not to dismiss them, but to decode them. What are they really pointing to? What portal is opening for you through them? Because once you stop chasing the human dream and start stepping into the soul dream, you'll realize you were never meant to settle for ordinary. You were meant to live extraordinary. And stepping into extraordinary leads us to the next truth, the awakening of the new human. Something extraordinary is happening right now on this planet, and you can feel it. You sense it in your body, in your heart, in the way life feels different than it used to. That's because you are not the same as you were even a few months ago. Your DNA is shifting, your awareness is expanding, and your soul is remembering. This is what it means to be the new human. The new human is not bound by the old rules of struggle, sacrifice, and survival. The new human understands that energy creates reality, that what you embody you attract. You no longer have to push or prove. Instead, you magnetize. You no longer have to strive endlessly. Instead, you align. And here's the most powerful part. Once you awaken to this truth, you can't go back. You can't unknow it. You can't turn it off. It's like flipping a switch in your consciousness that permanently illuminates the truth of who you are. You are not just a body moving through time. You are a multidimensional being carrying light codes, frequencies, and activations that ripple far beyond what your mind can comprehend. That's why you've been feeling it. The strange mix of intensity and excitement. For some, it feels like pressure, like life is squeezing them to wake up. For others, it feels like electricity in their veins, a constant stream of new insights, visions, and ideas. Either way, it's the same process. You are being rewired. Your system is being upgraded so you can hold more light, more awareness, more power. But here's where many stumble. They resist it. They try to cling to old patterns, old identities, old stories. They feel the light pushing them forward, but dig their heels in, afraid of what it might mean. And that resistance, that's what creates suffering. The new human doesn't resist. The new human surrenders. The new human trusts the process, even when it doesn't make sense to the mind. Because the mind will never fully grasp what the soul already knows. And when you trust, when you allow the awakening to move through you, life begins to feel like ecstasy. Not because everything is perfect on the outside, but because you're aligned on the inside. You're no longer fighting reality, you're flowing with it. You're no longer doubting your power, you're living it. This is why September feels different. Because it is different. The collective frequency has shifted, and those who embrace their new human design will step into miracles, opportunities, and creations that simply weren't available before. Doors are opening, frequencies are rising, and you are being called to step fully into your role. So take a deep breath. Feel the energy moving through you. You are not broken, you are awakening. You are not lost, you are remembering. You are not ordinary, you are the new human. And as this new human, there's one practice that unlocks everything else. The power of self-love. At the core of every transformation, every awakening, every breakthrough, lies one simple truth. You must choose to love yourself, not in a shallow, surface-level way of repeating affirmations you don't believe, but in the deepest, most radical way possible, by fully accepting who you are, as you are, right now. Most of us were never taught how to love ourselves. We were taught how to perform, how to please, how to prove. We were told our worth depended on grades, achievements, appearances, or approval. And somewhere along the way we confused that performance with love. But performance isn't love, it's fear dressed up as effort. The power of self-love begins the moment you stop performing. The moment you say, I don't need to be anything other than me. I don't need to earn love. I don't need to prove worth. I am already enough. That's the doorway into a completely different frequency of life. Because here's the secret. When you love yourself, you no longer chase love from others. You no longer beg for validation, or twist yourself into shapes, just to be accepted. You radiate love, and in doing so, you naturally attract people and opportunities that match that vibration. Life becomes magnetic, not because you're trying harder, but because you're aligned with truth. And this kind of love is not about arrogance or ego. It's not about pretending you're perfect. It's about presence. It's about being with yourself fully, even when it's messy, even when it hurts, even when you feel uncertain. To love yourself is to stay with yourself no matter what, to breathe through the doubts, to hold yourself through the fears, to choose you again and again. This is the greatest spiritual act you can make, because when you choose self-love, you're not just healing yourself, you're shifting the entire field around you. You're showing others what it looks like to live authentically. You're becoming a sacred mirror for them, reflecting their own worth back at them. That's impact. That's service. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Self-love is the key that unlocks abundance. When you believe you're worthy, you allow abundance in. When you love yourself enough to stop settling, you attract better opportunities. When you choose yourself, you magnetize the right people, the right connections, the right experiences. Everything begins with how you treat you. So ask yourself honestly, where have I been withholding love from myself? Where have I been criticizing, doubting, or abandoning myself? And then choose differently. Choose to show up for you the way you wish others would. Because when you do, you'll find that the love, the support, the opportunities you were chasing outside were always waiting inside. And when you embody this truth, you become unstoppable. Because self-love isn't just healing, it's power. It's presence. It's the vibration that tells the universe I am ready, I am worthy, I am here. And from that vibration, everything else begins to unfold, which leads us into the conclusion. The point where all of these truths converge into one powerful reminder. So here you are, standing at the edge of something new. August has done its work, breaking down illusions, reflecting back your patterns, and preparing you for this next phase. September is here, and with it comes a turning point, a doorway, an invitation to step into everything you were designed to be. The message has been clear from the very beginning. Pause, breathe, align. Stop chasing what isn't for you and start magnetizing what resonates with the truth of your soul. Because this month isn't about doing more. It's about being more. It's about remembering that the most powerful thing you can do is to live as your authentic self. Without masks, without proving, without apology. You've learned that the loops of lack and limitation only repeat if you keep feeding them. That your reality is not random. It's a mirror. And the moment you shift your focus, the mirror shifts with you. You've seen how desires are not destinations but portals, leading you deeper into the soul dream that is so much bigger than the human dream. You've remembered that simplicity is power, that what feels good, what excites you, what lights you up, that is God, Source, the divine moving through you. And when you choose resonance over resistance, you align with the flow of creation itself. Life stops being a struggle and starts becoming play. You've been reminded that you are not alone. Sacred mirrors are everywhere, waiting to reflect your light back to you, to walk with you, to amplify your awakening. But they can only find you when you drop the masks and choose authenticity. And in that authenticity you realize you were always chosen. And above all, you've been shown the key: self-love. The choice to stand with yourself, to honor yourself, to trust yourself no matter what. Because self-love is not just a feeling, it's a frequency. It's the vibration that tells the universe, I am worthy, I am ready, I am here. And from that vibration, abundance, opportunities and miracles flow with ease. So the question is no longer what do I need to do? The question is, am I willing to be who I already am? Am I willing to trust the doors that are opening? Am I willing to step through into a reality where I am limitless, where I am seen, where I am loved, not for what I do but for who I am? This is the call of September, a sacred remembrance, a season where the new human within you comes online fully, a month where you are asked to stop hiding and start shining, to stop performing and start living, to stop forcing and start sourcing. Because the truth is, you are not here to survive. You are here to create. You are here to play. You are here to embody the divine, limitless being you've always been. And as you choose that, today, tomorrow, every day, everything changes. Doors open, miracles multiply, and the world finally sees the truth of you. So take a deep breath, step forward, September is waiting.